When I look back now, I can't believe how careless I was with the one man who gave me everything. My husband, Daniel, was loyal, gentle, and devoted. We had been married for 7 years, and in that time, he never once made me question his love. But somewhere along the way, I started to take him for granted. His steady presence felt too predictable, too safe. I told myself I wanted more excitement, more passion. When the truth was, I just wanted attention. That's when my boss entered the picture. Charming, confident, and flirtatious, he gave me the kind of thrill Daniel didn't. It started with late-night texts, innocent jokes that slowly blurred the line into something dangerous. And instead of stopping it, I let myself be pulled in. Every glance, every compliment, felt like fuel to an ego I didn't realize was starving. When Daniel asked me one night if I was happy, I couldn't even look him in the eye. I told him I wanted an open marriage. He went silent, his fork halfway to his mouth. The pain in his eyes was immediate, but he didn't argue. He just nodded once, as if that single motion held all the heartbreak in the world. And with his quiet surrender, I dove headfirst into my boss's arms. At first, it felt intoxicating, the stolen hours, the secrecy, the adrenaline of doing something for me. I convinced myself it was freedom, empowerment. But that illusion shattered quickly. My boss was only interested in the chase. To him, I was just a distraction, something temporary. Once he had me, his attention drifted elsewhere. Meanwhile, Daniel stopped trying. He no longer kissed me goodbye in the mornings or asked about my day. He stopped bringing home flowers, stopped waiting up for me. His silence hurt more than his words ever could. Now I find myself staring at a marriage I destroyed, a man I betrayed, and a future I may never get back. And the worst part? The excitement I thought I wanted feels so empty compared to the steady love I threw away. The cracks in our marriage widened faster than I could mend them. Daniel didn't yell, didn't demand answers, didn't even accuse me. His silence was far worse. It was like living with a ghost of the man I once knew. He went about his life as though I wasn't there, and for the first time, I realized just how much space his quiet love had always filled. Without it, the house felt unbearably hollow. At work, things grew worse. My boss had gotten what he wanted, and his charm evaporated overnight. He stopped replying to my messages, treated me like any other employee, and even flirted openly with someone else in front of me. The thrill I had risked everything for turned into humiliation. I felt discarded, like a fool who had ruined her life for a man who never truly wanted her. I tried to go back to Daniel, to spark conversations, to suggest dinners or movie nights. But he remained distant, polite but detached. His eyes no longer softened when they met mine, and I hated myself for being the reason why. One night I broke down admitting, I think I made a mistake. He just stared at me with this expression I couldn't read. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even sadness. It was something worse, indifference. Then, subtle changes began to appear. He started coming home later, but unlike me, he didn't hide it. He dressed sharper, carried himself with a quiet confidence, and spent weekends out without telling me where he was going. For years he had always checked in, always made sure I was comfortable. Now I was the one waiting up, checking my phone, hoping he would come back. The balance had shifted and I could feel it. Daniel wasn't the man begging for my love anymore. I was the one desperate for his attention. But every attempt I made to bridge the gap only pushed him further away. He had found a way to live without me, and I was left spiraling, realizing I had gambled my marriage for nothing. I thought an open marriage would give me freedom. Instead, it left me locked in a cage of regret, watching my husband quietly slip out of my life, piece by piece. The final blow came on a Sunday afternoon, when Daniel asked me to sit down. His voice was calm, steady, but I could sense the weight behind his words. I know about everything, he said. The affair, the request for an open marriage, the excuses. My stomach dropped, but before I could speak, he raised his hand. I'm not here to fight. I just need you to understand that I'm done. Done. The word echoed in my head like a death sentence. He went on to explain how, in the weeks after my betrayal, he had reconnected with people he'd neglected, friends, family, colleagues. He had poured himself into his work, and his boss had noticed. A promotion was on the table. Opportunities one had never supported him and were now within reach. I thought losing you would break me, he admitted. But it made me realize I'd already lost you a long time ago. I begged. I cried. I dropped to my knees, promising him I would cut ties with my boss, go to therapy, do whatever it took. But Daniel's expression didn't change. I don't hate you, he said softly. But I can't love you the way I used to. You burned that bridge when you looked for love somewhere else. The papers came a week later. Divorce, swift, clinical, and impossible to stop. The house, which had always been our shared dream, was now his alone. My friends, once supportive of my freedom, drifted away when they saw the wreckage I had caused. And at work, whispers followed me down every hallway. I wasn't the bold woman who wanted an open marriage. I was the fool who destroyed her own. Daniel, meanwhile, flourished. I saw pictures on social media. Him traveling, smiling, surrounded by friends. There was even a woman by his side in one photo, her hand resting casually on his arm. It gutted me. Now I sit alone, haunted by the silence of my choices. I thought I was taking control of my life, that I could have excitement without consequences. But Daniel's absence is louder than any thrill I ever chased. And every time I see him smiling without me, the regret cuts deeper. I wanted freedom. What I got was a front row seat to watch the man I betrayed live the life I threw away.